Here, let's take a look at one here. It says, by Rob says, if my supplier is shipping half of my goods by sea and the other half by air, do I need to create two shipment plans within Amazon Seller Central? And
Good
the short answer
question.
for that is yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
You That'd be the easiest way to do it. I guess technically you wouldn't have to create two different shipment plans because it's alright if not all the goods arrive at the same time. But for the one that's being shipped ocean freight, you're probably going to want to use Amazon's fulfillment services. So to Rolando's point, the short answer of that is yes, it's better to create two different ones.
yeah, looks like we just have some people dropping in saying hello. And then, so Kate and Kristen say hello. Well, Kate actually mentions that day 12 of launch, lots of PPC optimization happening, constant refresh to see sales. That's always awesome, right? You just kind of constantly have to hit that refresh button.
Yeah, it's hard not to, right? Especially when you're just starting out to like every like 5 minutes refresh the app or refresh Seller Central on the computer. That's funny. I'm the same way.
All right, we got a question from Sam, and it looks like Sam's asking, if my product has a strong printed retail box and isn't fragile, should I still have China supplier put in export cartons for the container in floor loading? They want to charge me 80 cents per box.
Yeah, good question. You said the retail box isn't fragile, but I guess what I'd ask you is would the customer be concerned if the retail box was kind of like scraped up and scratched up a little bit? Because you have to imagine when it's not in like a master carton and it's just like on the floor of the container. They're kind of like sliding it around. Like as a result, those master cartons tend to get kind of like scuffed up or cut up a little bit or whatever. So like if it's like a really strong box, like what I'm thinking in my head is like some of the big thick boxes like furniture come in or whatever, then it'd probably be fine not to do that. Otherwise, I would probably just go for the 80 cents a box and put them in a master carton.
All right. Kathy asks, just listed my first product, placed it on Jumpson, and was shocked to see 16 other products just like mine. Ugh, not getting any sales yet.
Hang in there. I wouldn't don't get too discouraged. I think it's really easy for everyone to focus on the amount of competition that they have and be really worried about it. But that's one of those things that you can't do anything about. And yeah, just keep pushing forward. I'm sure you can do a better job optimizing your listing, and you may have created a better product and do better with PPC. So yeah, don't get bummed out about it.
All right. Max asks, hi guys, GS1 offers 10 UPCs for 250 USD or 100 UPCs for 700 USD. Does it make sense to buy 100 UPCs, maybe, and then sell leftovers? I would discourage that, Max. I would, if you don't have more than 10 products, just go with the 10 UPCs. In fact, it's not recommended that you resell any remaining ones as well. I would just hold on to them for future launches.
Yeah, one of the important reasons for that is when you put in a UPC into Amazon, they validate or they check to see who the legal owner is of that UPC. I don't know exactly how they go about like whether or not they match that up with like the legal entity on your Amazon account, or they just make sure it's not one of the resellers, or like I don't know for sure exactly how they do it, but to be safe, the registered legal entity on the GS1 barcode should be the same as in your Seller Central account. And that's why, to Rolando's point, you may get in trouble not like necessarily in trouble by someone, but like you may run into issues trying to resell them.
All right. Sam asks, how much does US shipping of a full container usually cost from US port to Amazon warehouse on average if it gets split across 3 warehouses. Important for me to get my cost estimate, but not really sure of the range.
I would just get I would just do the actual math, like go in there, create the shipment in Seller Central, and just see what they quote you for shipping prices, because they'll quote you for it before you actually pay for it. The reason that I say that is there's just a lot of factors that go into it. Like, for example, if you only have to ship a few cartons like to the other side of the country and they're fairly light, then it's going to be cheapest to ship them like UPS ground. Whereas if they're really heavy, then that's going to be more expensive. It depends which 3 warehouses it is. So that's why it's really, really hard for us to give you just kind of like a ballpark estimate.
And many of you already know this, but definitely use Amazon's partner carrier program. Go through their program because it's going to save you some money.
Let's see what other questions are in here. Vanessa said, what's the minimum amount of inventory allowed to sell in Amazon warehouses? There's no minimum. You can send in just 1 unit if you want. Also said, would you recommend selling handmade products under Amazon's handmade category? I'm actually not really that familiar with handmade. I think my understanding of it is it used to get you like a few incentives. For example, I think you used to be able to get A+ content for free where other people had to pay for it, and maybe use Vine, but those are available in Seller Central now. I don't know. Are you very familiar with it, Rolando?
Unfortunately, I'm not. Fortunately, I'm not.
Yeah, I don't think it offers like any significant benefits. I think that was kind of like Amazon's way to try to compete with Etsy. If it really is handmade and you think that it would really resonate with people that are maybe going there, I'd say go for it. If not, I haven't really heard anyone talk about that it's this really great program or anything.
All right, we got a question from Sam asking, storage costs are coming out to be quite large for me. Box is not oversized, but it is closed. For 3 months, average inventory 1,000 units. It's adding at least $3 a unit to my costs. Am I doing something wrong? What are your per unit storage costs on average?
Let's see. So I guess your product must be pretty big then, because let me look at this. Assuming it hasn't been there for a year, like you just said 3 months, I'll show you. Let's see, you said it was not oversized. So it's 75 cents per cubic foot. Let's say that's per month. So, yeah, I mean, I guess that's, if it's 1.25 cubic feet, it's about as big as you can go for standard size, and it makes sense. It was about $3 for 3 months, or $1 a month. So I don't think you're doing anything wrong, I wouldn't imagine. Yeah. Anything else to add to that one, Rolando?
I would just say that if you're doing proper inventory management, if you're finding that the cost is just not outweighing the sales, maybe offload a few, do like a quick like fire sale, lower the price so that you're not getting charged that extra $3 to bring your inventory down a bit. And then from here on forward, just do proper inventory management.
Max said he's had a few bad experiences with Fiverr freelancers. Tried one from the Jungle Scout Market and felt like he got the same kind of guy or same kind of service. He's okay to pay more, but he wants a good quality service. Any suggestions? What are you getting done, Max? Is it photos, or is it copywriting or packaging design? Let me know that, and I can help a little bit more. Max, does someone actually physically check those sellers in the Jungle Scout Market, or are they just signed up? Are the same sellers which offer their services on Fiverr? How the vetting process works, Max, for the Jungle Scout Market is they have to give examples of proof of work, and then they have to be experienced freelancers on other marketplaces. So it doesn't matter which ones those are, but they have to show their experience at other marketplaces. They have to show that they're familiar specifically with Amazon, working with Amazon sellers, and give some of their proof of work. So that's how the vetting process works. Depending on the type of service that you're receiving, and kind of like your standards and what you're paying. Of course, you can imagine that varies a little bit, but through the vetting process, at least we can get rid of anyone who's like a scammer or isn't familiar with working with Amazon sellers, or is poor quality, like really poor quality work, that type of thing.
All right. Sam asks, how much does liability insurance range on average? Do you need it per product or per company?
I would say, for one, the vast majority of Amazon sellers don't have liability insurance. When or if you do get it, you typically get a plan for your entire company for all of your products, or like kind of like your entire product suite. A few numbers for examples. A pretty good friend of mine probably does like 2 or 3 million a year on Amazon. I think he has about probably 8 or 10 different products, and I think he pays $2,000 per year. I know another Amazon seller that's quite a bit bigger. They're closer to like 40 or $50 million a year on Amazon. I think they're paying around $10,000 or $15,000 a year. So I don't know. Those are a few examples. Rolando, are you familiar with any examples you could give for rough numbers?
I would say ballpark. I mean, like you said, in the early stages, it's not vital that you do. But yeah, you're talking about anywhere from your liability, right? Depending on your liability, maybe like 500,000 is probably a good starting point. But like I said, in the early stages, probably not worth investing in.
William Latta says, still figuring out my product and overcoming paralysis analysis, life of an engineer. I feel you, William. That happens to a lot of people, including myself. At some point, I would recommend to just write down like your top 3 or 5 products and ultimately just go for one. You could always go with a smaller minimum order quantity to just kind of like test it out. But you're going to learn so much when you launch your first one. And as a result, you can kind of continue to iterate and improve on it from there. That you want to make sure that not making a decision isn't what kind of stops you from starting the business.
All right, looks like we're out of questions. Keep dropping those questions. See if there's any on the feed.
I got one in here from Manuel. And it says, I launched my first product, but the problem is that I'm spending a large amount in sponsored ads and the ROI is not good enough. So Manuel, if you're watching this, I know this was posted in the Facebook group, his ROI is, let's see. He spent $450 on ads and has made $382 in sales. So his ACoS would be like, what's that? Like 120%. That's actually, but he's only been running it for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like about 10 days. That's about to be expected for 10 days worth of running it. Keep in mind that you're going to spend more money on PPC to get started because you need to see which keywords convert and which keywords don't. And then you're going to go from the automatic campaigns to starting to optimize your manual campaigns. And that's essentially how kind of like the process works. So keep in mind that, your ACOS isn't going to have a great ROI the first month. I don't think I've ever been able to like optimize the campaigns well in the first month. But then after that, you start to have enough data to be able to optimize these.
All right. Max asks, he's following up to what you're asking. He says he's trying to, 1, do a logo design, 2, package insert threefold, and then 3, copywriting for the threefold brochure.
Yeah, something with logo design is a really difficult thing for some people to find a designer that they like for. And the reason for that is like it's so much of a personal preference, right? With anything more like artistic type related, oftentimes it's really difficult to find someone that you kind of like. You asked for advice. There are sites like 99 Designs. I can show you real quick. Like this is one. How it works is you essentially put up a prize. So for example, like for a logo, let's see, I'm seeing how much this thing costs and I haven't used it in a long time. So it looks like you probably just need like this one, like $400. Maybe just this one with $300. Essentially, you offer up a $300 prize for whoever makes the best logo. What will happen then is a bunch of designers will submit different logos, and whoever you choose as your favorite, they get paid that money. So I guess it says it starts at $2.99 because the more money essentially that you put up, the more designs that you're going to get. But if you're really concerned about your logo and you really want like a whole bunch of different ones and a whole bunch of different types of kind of like artistic input into it, this is a pretty good way to go about doing it. There are, what's this called? Like crowdsource design. There's a number of, I think 99 Designs is like the first one, but there's a bunch of different ones that do something similar now. Design Crowd, I've heard of that one. CrowdSpring. So anyway, you can go and look at some of these, and yeah, that's how they work. Is a whole bunch of people submit designs, and then you get you choose the winner, and they get the money.
All right. Looks like the next question comes from Sam, asking what are return percentages on average? I would say that definitely you want to maintain this number low, but it's not uncommon, anywhere between 5 to 15%. But definitely you want to make sure that your product vet it very well, that you're not getting very many returns, because then Amazon can impact your seller account for sure.
William said, I started an Amazon account with my LLC. My wife also started selling books on Amazon with a personal account. Will I run into any issues with Amazon's terms of service? This is a little bit of a gray area. I would probably feel comfortable with this one. I do know like people in the same household who have kind of like gotten in like a little bit of trouble with this in the past. Most likely you won't run into any issues though. Yeah, the short of it is you'll probably be fine, especially if you guys are using like separate computers. A lot of people think that Amazon just looks at like the IP address, but that's actually, I think, one of the lower factors that they use to identify kind of like duplicate accounts. Instead, they look at like your browser fingerprint and a number of course, like bank account, credit card, a number of those items. So you should be all right. The people who kind of have gotten like in trouble for this, or like Amazon has kind of like called them out or suspended their accounts, they're typically okay as long as you're not selling the same item. where Amazon really doesn't like it if you're selling the same item or same types of items, because then you can essentially have multiple sellers on the same buy box.
All right. Next question comes from Ari asking, what is the ship from address in the shipment plan to use for air shipment? Will it be the address of the factory/supplier? And if you're shipping direct from China, yes, the shipping address would be your manufacturer. And Sam asks, right, what conversion rate are you listing? Are your listings on average?
It is a wide range, and I'll show you something real quick that shows how wide of a range it is. 1 second. When you look at the brand analytics, it actually shows you the, well, this is, I guess, the conversion share of that particular keyword. But as you can imagine, so the total conversion rate is going to be even less than this. So the reason I say this is, like, you'll see some are like 4%, 10%, 20%, 70%, 0.09%. So it's a very wide range. If I had to, like, give you a number of, like, the most common conversion rates, like if I look at my products, most common's probably going to be between 3 to 10-ish%. I can look at some of these other that I have, but I think that's a good, like, ballpark.
William asks, if I have started an Amazon account for my LLC. Oh wait, they already covered that one. Let's go. Oh, Max says that he sent a package insert to your inbox, Greg. So if you could take a look at it and see if it's against Amazon's policy.
All right. It'll take me a minute to find that. Do we have any more questions while I look for that one, Rolando?
Yeah, we got the next question that came in is from Sharon asking, how do you deal with Amazon pooling your product under the product review system and shutting your listing? They want a case of what the problem was, what steps you have taken, and copies of your invoices showing your factory details. But Amazon won't give you any detail of the faults, the problems, how many orders it has affected, etc. So how can you do a case on that basis, let alone why you should have to provide factory details? I've had this happen on multiple top selling products where we have spent 25,000 pounds on sponsored products. Probably my first reaction to handle something like this is I always like to call Amazon and just speak to them directly. And sometimes you'll have someone that's helpful, sometimes you won't. If it's someone that's not as helpful, doesn't provide as much details, I just generally just call right back. Like I'll hang up and call back again, and until I get someone that can provide me enough details. So I would say that would be a good starting point, so that you can kind of have an idea of what it is, why they pulled your listing. And they should have an open case already on that. So sometimes if you look in your case log, there may be some details, additional details about why your items have been pulled. So that'd be a good starting point.
I was just looking at my account as far as what some of my other conversion rates are, and they're actually higher than what I had said earlier. So it's this right here, unit session percentage. This is the conversion rate. So like 28, 21, 30, 26, 47, 26, 21, 21, 24, 43. Like, but then this one's only 4%. So it looks like in the, this one's 13, but it looks like that one's only 6, but it looks like the average is somewhere around probably like 20 or 30-ish percent. Some perform worse than that, 9%. A few of these are bad, but they've only each had one sale. But yeah, it looks like it's higher than what I told you guys earlier. Sorry about that. All right, now let me find that Facebook message. We can take another question while I look for it, Rolando, if we have any.
Sandy asks, should we have a freight forwarder get the shipment from the supplier and get it to Amazon? Or is it better to have the supplier get the product to the China seaport and then have the freight forwarder take over and get it to Amazon's final destination? Typically, I prefer just having the supplier bring it to port. And then from there having the freight forwarder take care of the rest. And basically, that's when you're talking about FOB, the FOB method. And so I prefer that. It's also part of my vetting process to an extent. It tells me that the supplier, the manufacturer, has that handles large capacity, large loads. So they have that mechanism to move from the supplier to the port. So to me, that's one of the things I also look for when I'm trying to find a manufacturer that they have that capability, and then the freight forwarder will take over from there. Once it's in the United States, I always recommend that you use Amazon's partner carrier service, basically, to pick it up at the freight forwarder's warehouse. Allow the freight forwarder to obviously repackage and palletize your items, but to save some money, definitely use Amazon's partner carrier service. It's going to be companies like UPS, and they just have discounted rates through with UPS.
Cool. Here's the image that I think Max sent me. Congratulations, you got a free gift, $10 gift card to contact us. This is definitely illegal. This is a classic incentivized review case. I mean, if you wanted, you could probably report them to Amazon. You'd probably get them banned on Amazon. If they're your competitor, maybe you want to do so. If not, maybe not. But yeah, this is the type of thing that Amazon is very strict on, and they're not going to last for long. They're going to get banned soon.
All right, Rob asks, if my supplier is shipping my goods into Amazon, how do I update the tracking number in the shipping plan?
You just don't. You don't have to do that.
Rob asks, don't know if the question was answered already, but if my supplier is shipping half my goods by sea and the other half by air, do I need to make 2 shipping plans? And yes, we touched on it earlier, Rob. You would need 2 shipping plans for that particular shipment. And Max asks, I reported the seller a week or 2 ago, did it 2 times from different channels, but nothing happens with the seller. He keeps getting 3 to 7 5-star reviews every day. Maybe I just need to put the same kind of package insert and go the same way. Otherwise, there's no way to compete with the seller. I would strongly advise not to do that, not to follow in his footsteps, because it is a terms of service violation. And I would say it takes a while for Amazon to do like its investigative process, but it will definitely it will be handled by Amazon.
Yeah. I'll say, like, there's 2 ways you can report people for this. One is through this one. This is like the way just a general consumer can do it. You can say like customer reviews. So that one works. And then I just found this by Googling, what was it? Amazon submit review abuse. The other way is through Seller Central. Let's see. Report a violation of selling policies. Contact us here. I would submit through both of these, but like Rolando said, I'd be pretty confident that this isn't going to be taken care of. Maybe it's taking longer than kind of what you'd hope, but yeah, I mean, Amazon takes that very seriously.
All right, we're out of questions. Keep dropping those questions. And as you guys know, this is the final bonus live coaching session. However, I do have some good news for you. We will be having a follow-up coaching session, and on April 14th. So yeah, be mindful of that. If you have any questions, definitely you'll want to be there for that live Facebook. Right. Kathy asks, you mentioned calling Amazon earlier. Where do you find a phone number for Amazon? It's actually the only way I've had success is through the app. So what you'll do is download the Seller Central app, and then if you go, it's like a couple of tiers you have to go through. I think it's like you go through Help, and then Amazon FBA, and then under Amazon FBA, it gives you the option of either doing via chat or a phone call. And I always have success just getting through, because what it is it's going to give you a call back, and so as soon as they're available, but usually it's like right away, and then you'll be able to talk to someone in Amazon, specifically in Amazon FBA in that department.
Yeah, I've also, sometimes I get like the option to call them just through like the way you go through the help. So let me actually show this again real quick. So, I clicked on help up here. Down here, you can say get support, selling on Amazon. And then depending on which ones of these you click, some of them have a phone number, or it's like Rolando said, it's not actually a phone number. Like, I can find one, I bet, real quick. So like this one right here gave me this. So what happens here is if you enter your phone number, it just rings your phone automatically, or like right then you pick it up. But not all of these have the option. Like, for example, I know like the seller performance teams and some of the ones that are more critical or that are more important or that you more so want to talk to someone on the phone, they don't have it. And like, even if you talk to this person, they would just say like, sorry, I can't help you with that part of it. So, yeah.
Yeah, you want to, and they can always direct it to the right department too. Just want to be in the right place. They're typically their customer support. They're very specialized. So if it's something to do with a shipment, then they have a department that will handle that and so on.
Yeah. If you're trying to get anything fixed with the listing, they're always way better to talk to on the phone. I've noticed that. So it's like some of those, it is much more effective to talk to them on the phone. So even though it can be frustrating and take a while, I wouldn't hesitate to call them if you have that option. And if you want, you can always try to call them through one of the other options and just ask them the questions. Don't be surprised if they can't help you, but if it's important, it's probably worth a try.
Sandy asks, could you show us quickly how to find the HS code again? I tried to find it earlier this week and wasn't sure if I got the right one.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember the tool that I used in Freedom Builder Bootcamp. I think it was this Freightos one. Let's look. Yeah, so one way to do it is you can enter a product description right here. So let's say shoes. And you can figure out which one of those it is. So I'll post this in the chat real quick. And then the other way that's pretty effective is I can go into the supplier database. I can find someone who makes my product. So we just did shoes. I can click view more. And here's the HS code that someone else used for this. So they were shipping shoes. This is the HS code they used. We can see how that compares real quick. So let's see. This is definitely chapter 64. It's at 640411. Another way you can go about it is like, if you know it's like, okay, it's definitely chapter 64 because it's in footwear. The other thing you can do is you can go and you can actually look at chapter 64. Let's try this one real quick. Yeah, this is always just like a disaster, it feels like. But I can go in here, I can go to chapter 64, and then I can open this and I can try to find the section that's most applicable. So I guess you could just search in here for like your product, but sometimes it's kind of weird what like they call it, right? So in this one, like tennis shoes, basketball shoes, all right, that seems kind of like shoes. So that would be this one, 6402.91.05. Sometimes it's weird what they call it, right? Like if I look in here and I were to do like yard signs, let's go back to, I think the Freightos one's a little better. Yeah, it just gave an error. But then if I go into the data or the product database, sorry, supplier database and do yard sign, it has some stuff for me, right? Has this HS code, chapter 83, 1000. So that's the best way to go about doing it. And then the last best way, or the most thorough way, is to just ask your freight forwarder, and they'll do it kind of the official way.
Max asks if possible, may be better to do the follow-up session somewhere in the end of May, rather than make in April. By April, we might not get our products delivered to FBA warehouse for those who ship by sea. Anyway, thank you for planning that. So he's suggesting we move the date back. It's about roughly exactly a month from now. I think there's going to be some people probably that are at that phase of launching. So it's probably best to do April just so that everybody can get their questions answered.
What do the rest of you all think? Would you rather have April or May? I guess if everyone says May, we can do it. To be honest with you guys, we're probably gonna just kind of do some more of these if you keep in the loop with the Facebook group, but we also don't want to make any empty promises. But like we always say, Rolando and I's goal here is that all of you launch successful businesses on Amazon. So we're not, we're going to do our best to go above and beyond what was kind of promised when you signed up.
All right. Sandy asks, so we can be pretty confident if we see the same code a couple of times, it might be right. And yes, I would agree with that. And like Greg says, especially like if you're using your freight forwarder, they'll be able to help you out with that as well and confirm that with you. If not, they can make the corrections. Ari asks, we revised our product description, and a few days later, it went back to the old product description. Has this ever happened to you? It has, and what I've had to do in that scenario is definitely contact the support end of things, because they had to do something on their back end. I remember that it was like I was doing some bullet changes and a title change, and it just wasn't updating. And I guess it was just like a glitch in their system, or I'm not sure as to what it was, but I got in contact with seller support, and they were able to do something on their end to push that through. Or worst case scenario, I mean, if before doing that, if you want, just keep trying, just refreshing, and then try a couple times. If it doesn't work, then yeah, definitely get in touch with seller support. William says both April and May.
All right, we'll start with the one in April. We'll see how everyone's doing, and yeah, we'll go from there.
Sandy is chiming in. She's saying that she's trying to get her samples, so it might not be ready for April. So yeah, we're getting some good feedback.
I'll share something cool with you all while I wait for some more questions. I started a couple A/B tests for the A+ content inside of Seller Central. So, I use Splitly to do the A/B testing for like my price and photos and all that stuff. But the A/B content, you can only split test inside of Seller Central. And I'll show you some of the results. And what it's designed for is to split test different types of A+ content to see what performs better. But I'm actually split testing A+ content versus non-A+ content. And these are the results. So version A is the A+ content, and it's saying that increases conversion rate from 8.05 to 9.07, which is pretty good. Let's take a look at this other one. All right. This one just kind of started. So there's only been 3 units sold, so it doesn't really have. It's going to take a while longer for that one, but yeah, that's pretty interesting. So it looks like A+ content does make a difference. It's about a 10% improvement by having A+ content so far. I'll report back after a while.
That's amazing. It's awesome. Good little experiment there. William, so we're getting some more feedback, and then Williams asks, when is FBB camp? I think you should have a JS camp like outing for your inaugural FBB group.
Sounds cool.
I will say
think about that one a little bit more. In-person meetup, that would be fun.
Yeah, we will be at Prosper, so that's something that if you're attending Prosper, we will be there. Always drop by our booth.
Which, unfortunately, though, is now in when? August?
Yeah, August 31st. They moved it back. It was actually going to happen in like 2 weeks or so, but they pushed the date back to August 31st.
Pretty much all the conferences for this spring got canceled.
Yeah. Yep.
South by Southwest canceled. Yep. All the good stuff.
Says, go for it, Greg.
Greg, what do you think in general about kids' toys? Most of them do not have a lot of sales, but they sell more than less. In general, I think it's a perfectly good niche to go after. Yeah, I think there's lots of products in there that are easy to manufacture, relatively simple, don't break easily. Yeah, overall, I think it's a solid niche. Sam said,
asks,
Yeah, go
Go
for
for it, Greg. You got it.
it. Amazon offers referral fee discounts if you do Seller Fulfilled Prime. How do you do Seller Fulfilled Prime, and what is the discount on average? The discount on average is negative something percent, because with Seller Fulfilled Prime, you actually have to pay for the shipping. Whereas with FBA, you're not paying for the shipping. They're either Prime and they get it for free, or Amazon charges them the cost of shipping. So there's no cost to you for shipping. Whereas with Seller Fulfilled Prime, you are responsible for the shipping. So whatever the discount is I'm sure overall a loss. The only people I've seen kind of like be able to make it work is, one, if you set the area so that it's like just in your state or the surrounding states, so that it's 2-day Prime, even with ground shipping. I think that's one way that people can make it relatively cost effective. Alternatively, if you sell giant things like kayaks or whatever else, Amazon's storage and fulfillment fees for those are extremely high. So I think some people are able to make it cheaper by doing Seller Fulfilled Prime for those items.
Susan asks, well, she says, I finally received my first sample. I was celebrating. Woohoo! That's awesome. And what would you do if the manufacturer did not send everything that was supposed to be sent in the sample? Definitely communicate that to them. I'd get on them and see what they can work out with you. Hopefully, sometimes you kind of also want to weigh that into the equation, right? If you're getting multiple samples, and this one isn't completing like the bargain, then maybe that might be someone that you'll not want to work with in the future. So that's something that you could factor into that equation. Otherwise, if you really like the quality of what was sent, then I would just get in contact with the supplier and just either for them to send it on cost, or if that doesn't work out, maybe a discount, finagle something out of them. They'll work with you. They want your business.
All right.
Matt,
Don't even have any questions in the Facebook group. Oh, go for it.
We got one just drop in. It's Max and asking, does it make sense to rent out some kind of self-storage unit somewhere near me and store there some inventory in order not to overstock Amazon FBA? My supplier does not want to go with small minimum order quantities. Absolutely. Like if you can, if it doesn't eat too much into your profit, having a small storage unit, something that you could just set aside some of the products would be absolutely worthwhile. We talked about third-party logistic companies as well. If you work with them, they'll warehouse your product and ship it into Amazon's fulfillment centers as needed. So those are a couple options that you could do for sure.
Cool. We have time for a few more questions, so make sure you get them in the chat box.
Let's see here. Yeah, it looks like we're out of questions. See, Ari asked earlier, I don't think we've answered this one. This was in the feed. Hello, Freedom Builders. What is the typical deposit required for an initial order? The vendor is asking for an 80% deposit, and I think this is too high. Thank you. It's not uncommon for an 80-20, but ideally, I prefer to just put down 30%. And then, so it's like a 70-30 split. So, but I always, It's not uncommon though for, if it's your first time working with them, that they might ask for even an 80% deposit. Susan asks, the instructions that were included with my product has typos. Do you have the manufacturer date the instructions? Yes, absolutely. If this is like a final sample of what it's supposed to be like, yeah, I would definitely get that updated because it's going to reflect negatively or badly, for your customer's experience. So I would say, just once again, bring up all the flaws that you find, bring up all the concerns, and spell them all out. I like to number the issues, because what I find a lot of times when I'm communicating with suppliers and I have multiple issues and I just put them in one paragraph, then they may overlook some of the questions that you, or some of the concerns you have. So just number them. Item number 1, item number 2, correct this. Send pictures with it as well. Just be as detailed as possible in communicating with them, and what your ask is as well.
All right. Max says, how does it affect the Amazon business? I don't quite know what he means by that. Do you, Rolando?
Oh, I guess it's a follow-up because of the using his like getting a storage unit, how it would affect Amazon business. I don't think it has an impact. I mean, you just got to weigh the pros and cons, right? Because of the storage fees, you're either going to get charged with storage fees, or you're going to buy Amazon, or the unit that you're renting. So you just got to weigh out the pros and cons of each and see which is best for you. Ideally, of course, you just, if you play your numbers right, you're not having that much overstock at Amazon's fulfillment center. But yeah, just weigh out the pros and cons to both.
William said, when's Greg's better half going to do a coaching session? We need the women's perspective from the Sleekform CEO. Good question. I believe we're actually doing a video on Jungle Scout's YouTube channel with her this month. As a lot of you know, March is Women's History Month, so one of the things we're doing is celebrating women entrepreneurs. So doing a few kind of studies around it, and we're going to do one around my wife and her business. She's had, she's has a really awesome business and is quite successful. So that'll be fun. So stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe to the Jungle Scout YouTube channel.
Sandy asks, once I get my supplier, I need to find an inspection company to have them check my supplier as they produce my product, correct? With the inspection company, it'll usually happen towards the end of once your products are actually completed. And then because if you use the contract that we talk about, and if the items aren't to the standards that you're if it fails the inspection, you're at most, you might be able to get a refund, but at most you're only out whatever the deposit was, and then you don't have to proceed forward with that supplier. That's why definitely, you do want to negotiate good terms of what your deposit could be, right? It could be 20, 30% if possible. But definitely the inspection is at the end because you want to inspect. They'll spot check different, the different boxes that you have going out, and give you some pictures and just to follow up a really good inspection report. And then it says, to continue that last question I just asked, we don't have to have the inspector each time I order from the supplier, do I? It's recommended that you use it with every shipment, but Greg and I and several other sellers at Jungle Scout, we initially, I do like the inspection company to come through with the first order, and then after that, I just have my supplier provide me pictures. I I intimidate them by saying an inspection company will be going out, so that they know that it's gonna really all be like to perfection. But yeah, follow up orders, you could safe to say that you can kind of forego the inspection company.
Well, we're all out of questions, and it's about time up. So I guess we'll go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you all for joining the live session very much. I know I've enjoyed it. I know Rolando has as well. Rolando, what day did we say our next one's going to be? Our bonus
April
session?
14th.
April 14th. Cool.
Yeah,
So we're going to do it on April 14th. Keep your eyes posted in the Facebook group for the exact time on that day. We'll set up the event for it. And then, we'll help you guys out very much there. Love chatting with you guys and love hearing about the progress on your business, so make sure to drop that in the Facebook group as well. Thank you all very much. It's been fun.
Hey, take care, Freedom Builders. Keep crushing it.